You know, it started out easy enough. But sometimes the easiest things in life can become the most difficult.
Go, go, go. Go, Luke.
Really feeling the pressure here. I'm ready for a shower and a nap.
I didn't realize this would be such a workout.
I'm very uncomfortable that you're filming me doing this. I enjoy making enclosures for my tarantulas and snakes and geckos and, all the different animals that I keep. I don't make them for awards or accolades. It's not a competition. I make them for the enrichment of the animal and for my own personal enjoyment because I like seeing my animals, my tarantulas, in a more naturalistic environment. But then one day I got an email inviting me to the Snake Discovery Enclosure build-off. Now apparently I wasn't their first choice. I think they asked Tarantula Cat first. She couldn't make it, so I was the understudy. And I'm very grateful that I was invited and I got to go. So I made my plans, booked my flight and hotel, and headed off to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now it's been about 20 some years since I've been in Minneapolis. But unfortunately, I really didn't have a lot of time to do any sightseeing. I got into town late at night. Early the next morning, I was at Snake Discovery, ready for this competition. And it was great. I got to meet some content creators that I've been watching on YouTube for years. Some of them I've talked to a lot online through messages, but have never met them personally face to face. But the excitement and camaraderie was very short-lived. Not soon after arriving, we were split up into two groups, the green team and the black team. And we were pitted together in a competition to find hidden clues.
Good thinking, man. Sorry, better run to kill this.
To unlock a large chest that contained a machete, which needed to be used to cut through a thick rope that would drop our team's banner, signifying we had won the competition. The first team to succeed wins the advantage of picking one item for their enclosure before everyone else could grab what they need. I get a lot of comments asking me what type of camera I use to make these videos. But that's kind of like asking a carpenter what type of hammer they use. The camera gear is just a tool. What matters are the skills that you develop to use them to their full potential. Which brings us to the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity. Skillshare is a great resource to help you learn new skills to support your growing side hustle or launch into a totally new career like I did. From photography and illustration to graphic design, freelancing, and more, you can find classes that will match your goals and interests. Personally, I'm always trying to make the best possible videos I can, and the classes on Skillshare have been pivotal in the development of my camera and editing skills. They are ad-free, so I can stay in the zone with less distraction. There are new classes launched each week, and there is always something new to learn. I started with camera basics and built upon that learning as I explored topics like color grading, filming, video and photo editing, special effects, sound design, and more. Currently, I'm learning from Arnold Trin about filming cinematic B-roll, and it's really helped me discover new ways to get the best possible footage of my tarantulas and inspired many new ideas. If you're interested in discovering new ways to develop your creativity and are considering joining Skillshare, I got you. The first 1,000 people to use the link down below in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Explore and develop new skills and fall back in love with learning. Now, I came prepared. I planned my enclosure out weeks in advance. I'd even ordered a special skull to use as the one personal item that I was able to bring. This was the piece that I picked since we won the competition. I'm thinking it'd be cool for little water dishes. You can fill it with water, you don't have to. It'd be kind of like the main focal piece. I just gotta find a way to somehow work the skull in on this. Oh, look at that. That's damn near perfect. Let's silicone that guy in place right there. I think that would be cool. Normally I would just use silicone, like a clear, what do they call it, like silicone 1 or whatever, just 100% silicone, but there's not much left. And I don't want to use all the supplies. So hot glue will work. And we'll just try to lock it in on the points of contact. And then to hide that glue, we're just going to shove in a little bit of this sphagnum moss. I brought this for Petco because I know how much he loves plastic skulls. In fact, I think we'll name this Petco. Really feel the pressure on, man. Being the only arachnid person here, gotta make the coolest enclosure. Don't necessarily have to win, but I definitely gotta make a cool enclosure. Oh, the glue's so hot it just melted the mold. Whoa! Probably shouldn't be using the enclosure as the table. Ow! Hurt myself again. I hope whoever gets this appreciates the amount of pain and sweat that I went. Hey, who's throwing stuff at me? I'm not a very good artist. I can't paint, so I have to resort to gluing sphagnum moss on stuff. And I was ready to build an epic enclosure for a tarantula. The first time anyone had built a tarantula enclosure on the Snake Discovery build-off. And my initial thoughts is that I would build this enclosure for the Theraphosa sturmi, better known as the Goliath bird-eater tarantula, one of the largest species of tarantula in the world. I really felt that that species, more than any other tarantula on the earth, would best be able to utilize that large enclosure from custom reptile habitats that measures 4 by 2 by 2. But once I started working on building out that enclosure, it was slowly becoming apparent that this was not going to go as planned at all. I should have put the background on first. That would have been the smart thing to do. I had issues with the background I had chosen. Not really fitting into the enclosure. Oh no. So that's going to be a problem. Anybody have a knife, a pocket knife? They wouldn't let me bring one on the plane. Then I didn't give it enough time for the silicone to really adhere at first. But I had already started using spray foam, so there wasn't much I could do at the moment. How do we get this to dry faster?
Hey, Dave? Are you okay?
That's not gonna work. And the more I looked at the enclosure, the more I got worried about the height and the potential fall damage a tarantula of that size could experience if it were to fall from the top. But the more I look at this, the more I think it's just not gonna work for a Goliath bird. I mean, these enclosures are built for reptiles, for snakes, for bearded dragons, for large, heavy reptiles that need that vertical space. Because if the tarantula is as big as my hand, and even if the substrate floor is right there, we double it up. You know, we're looking at 2 times the leg span of the tarantula, and I'm afraid it's gonna climb up on the top and then fall. But heavy-bodied terrestrial tarantulas like the Goliath bird eater, that much height could be deadly. more than like 1.5 times their leg span, I get really nervous about it, especially with a heavy body tarantula like the Goliath bird. Even using the additional substrate panel that they provided, I still didn't feel like I was getting the substrate deep enough. And even though there was a huge amount and a wide variety of supplies that we could use for the enclosure, it all seemed geared towards reptiles and amphibians. There wasn't a whole lot of stuff specifically for tarantulas. In fact, the bio dude supplied all kinds of substrate and cork bark and things of that nature. They had a couple different types of their most famous bioactive substrate. They had the Terra Sahara, the Terra Firma, but unfortunately they didn't have the Terra Arena, which is what I was really hoping for, because that is a substrate that they make specifically for arachnids. So it really felt like nothing was going as planned, and I was getting a little frustrated and just wore out and beat down. But I couldn't give up. I was representing the tarantula hobby here at this reptile enclosure building contest. So I decided that I was gonna have to pivot. I was gonna go into another direction with this build. So I am brainstorming right now, trying to come up with another idea, something we can do, because I really want it to be an arachnid enclosure. I don't want to do a reptile enclosure like everybody else. I'm the only arachnid YouTuber here, so we need to do an arachnid enclosure. So I'm thinking maybe a communal, like a Monocentrophus balfouri communal possibly. I think that would be really cool with just all the branches and stuff we've got, but we'll see what happens. But for now, we just gotta wait for this to dry. Even though my time was quickly running out. But will I be able to finish this enclosure in time?